Well, I'm back again for another video on art books for creativity. Welcome. My name is Tracy and I am sharing my personal collection of all the different books that I have in my library, all on art biographies, instruction, mediums, and styles. Today I'm going to start the first of probably several videos that focus on acrylic painting. And the first one I'll start with is the one that I have in my easel. This is called the Acrylic Painter's Book of Styles and Techniques. The author is Rachel Wolf. This is a little bit older book. In fact, I think this one might have been published in 1997. Yep, 1997 by Northlight Books. And Northlight Books was, I think, absorbed by Artist Network. They don't publish the books anymore, so you definitely are going to be looking for all the books that I'm showing today on Amazon or Thrift Books, or if you have other used book online resellers, as well as, you never know, you could find it in one of your used bookstores in the town that you live in. This book focuses in on, I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artists and their particular working style with acrylic and what can be done with the acrylic paints. And they do range in style from very contemporary abstracts to realism, the kind of hyper-realism. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to show you just a few pages out of this book. The first artist that's featured is a painter from the Southwest. His name is Joseph Orr, and he does a lot of texture in his paintings. The one thing I did notice, since I've actually been working with acrylics most of my life since high school, is how painterly the look is, and actually how much like oil his paintings do turn out to be. And the other thing I like about the book is the author shows pictures of the artists and how they start a painting and different stages that the painting will go through until it's completely finished. So there's a good example of that. Here is the finished painting. And again, I'll put a little closer. Acrylic, but it does have the look of oil. Sometimes artists will switch to acrylics because the oil gives off a smell, some of the thinners that you have to use. A lot of times artists feel like, it might be a little too toxic, or I just don't feel like I can breathe working with it, and that's why some artists will switch over to acrylic. I like that it's water-based, easy cleanup with soapy water, rinsing brushes out, just cleaning everything up in general I find it to be very easy. Let's see, here's another one where he takes us through stages. I'll just get to the finished painting. Again, very, very traditional kind of a look, very almost plein air kind of a look in Joseph Orr's artwork. Moving on, this is one of my personal favorite artists. This is Mary Sweet. Mary Sweet was quite well known back in the 70s and 80s for her almost WPA style poster art of southwestern landscapes. This is a good example of one right here. And they take her through the basic process, and then here is the painting, and she's kind of says that she just designs as she goes, which is a very interesting way to work. Takes you through all the different layers. And you can see that painting really come to life as she works from the top to the bottom of the canvas. And then they do, also for each artist, they do have a gallery, so they'll show several of their finished paintings in the gallery. So that's another idea for what you can do with acrylics. This artist, this is Barbara, I think I'm pronouncing her name right, Buer, and she uses acrylic as almost like a watercolor, very thin washes. She uses the golden fluid acrylics. You can see a photograph there with the types that she uses. And she builds up very thin layers, almost like a watercolor, to the effect of looking like almost like a hyper-realism style. So it's nice to see that you can do this with acrylic paints. Lots of tips and techniques. And again, one of her gallery pages. I'm not going to cover every single artist, but my other personal favorite is also another Southwestern artist. This is William Hook. William paints vast landscapes of the Southwest in Colorado. And he also uses the paint in sort of a loose fashion, almost plein air. You can kind of see that in this picture here of the cows. And the further back that you move away from, I've seen Williams paintings in person, the further back you move, you know, the more your eye will pixelate them into looking like very realism, but up close it's a lot of impasto brushwork. So just gorgeous, really captures it. And another artist, again, that the finished painting really does have the look and the feel of an oil painting. And then one other one I wanted to show you, because again, these are what acrylics are very good for, is this artist at the back, and that's Louise Cadillac, who is a well-known abstract painter, and she uses many different techniques with the acrylics to get the kind of look. They're very textural, and she builds in lots and lots of layers. Let's find a good, and here's some of her techniques that she uses. So again, this book is called The Acrylic Painter's Book of Styles and Techniques. The author is Rachel Wolf. Publication date 1997. The other two books that I have to show you today are both by Nancy Reiner. She is a Santa Fe based artist, and I think there may be 3 books she published. I have 2 out of the 3. The first one is called Acrylic Innovation, and the other one is called Acrylic Revolution. And she has a lot of guest artists in both of these books where she shows different tips and techniques for working with acrylic. Just to give you an example, this one is an Alita Pippin painting, and it almost looks like a color field painting. Maybe there's some paint pouring going on and just manipulating of the paint, more of a fluid paint look. And this one here is another Alita Pippin. So that kind of starts the book out. This book is really a lot about more abstract techniques and different things that you can use in order to get all the different effects, everything from eyedroppers to toothbrushes to using the paint right out of the tube and squeezing it on a feather. So lots of really great creative ideas for getting the paint on, texturing a canvas first and then painting over that. You'll get little hills and valleys with that texture, so then you'll have light areas and dark areas. Layering textures, lots and lots of great ideas. If you're looking for a book on just exactly what acrylics are capable of doing, this is a great book, Acrylic Revolution by Nancy Reiner. Her other book, Acrylic Innovation, is Styles and Techniques. This one actually has 64 guest artists in this book. I think it's always fun to see what other artists are doing with the medium of acrylic, and this certainly doesn't disappoint. Here's one that actually just looks super realism. This is Dennis Culver, and that's called Arroyo Logic. And again, that has a very flat look to it. It's very surprising always, even to me, what artists out there are doing with acrylic paint. Here's just another way different example by Martha Kennedy, and this has just got a very soft look to it. Another landscape. So it's good to see some landscape work in here. I believe there's some portrait work in here. Here we go. There's another one. All the way to, oh, I have to show you this one. This one is, I really love the look of these 4 paintings. They have a look of an encaustic, but that's acrylic. Probably using one of the acrylic mediums and layering up, but getting that soft, almost translucent encaustic look with those acrylics. If you don't want to work with the wax and melting it and the fumes giving off, you know, there are techniques for working with acrylic that way. Very, very interesting. This one here, this is the artist's own work, and I think she put down some gold leaf on the substrate and then started to paint over that. It's really hard to capture that in a photograph, but I'll bet in person that looks amazing. There's a bonus with this book. A lot of us maybe still have DVD players, not sure. Maybe you have an older computer, it still will put a DVD in there, or if you've got like an old-fashioned tower computer with a monitor. But this was a bonus. This is just a short video. It's Nancy showing some of her techniques that she does with the acrylics and with some of the mediums. But the possibilities for working with acrylics and all the mediums that come with acrylics are really endless. It's just up to you and your own creative mind what you want to accomplish and the look you're trying to go for. And as always, have fun just with experimenting and make it a play day in your studio rather than saying that everything that I create needs to just come out perfect or needs to be sellable. This is the way that we learn. We get in the studio every day and we practice. We use books like this for creative inspiration and to maybe, jog some ideas for you when you're in your studio and you're just looking at a blank canvas or a blank cradled wood board. Books like this can really help. So thank you for joining me today. Again, this is Art Books for Creativity. Give me a like and follow for more books. I've got several categories I think I'm going to cover with acrylics alone and mixing media and different things to do. This is just the start of the collection that I have. And we will see you at the next video. Thanks again. Have a great day.